All right, so last time I talked about learning about some of the CSS properties that you'll likely be using. So I created this resource that you can use to look up some of the properties that are available. So some of the basic ones you see here are spacing, color, or borders. We played around with some of these already. And then there's also advanced CSS properties. Now, if you go down to this input box, this list contains all of the CSS properties that you can style something with. And if you start typing, it will start to filter out the properties that you are searching for. So here I'm searching for margin. And if you want to look up what this margin property can be used for, you can click the link and it should open a new tab to tell you what this property can do. All right, so let's see what we can use those CSS properties for. I'm going to create a new style tag here. Inside, we're going to style the A tags. And the links that we currently have are kind of squished together. So I want to be able to get a little more space between them. So we're going to add this margin 10 pixels. So as you can see, there's a little more space between them already. We're going to give it a little more exaggerated look. So with 100 pixels, you see that it's all the way across the screen now. If you right-click and inspect it, you can actually see, if you hover over the element, you'll be able to see that there's a yellow outline, yellow background that is now around this element. And that's the margin. If you look in the style inspector, you can also see where the margins are applied and how much of it is applied. I'm going to add a border 1 pixel solid for now, just to see where the borders are. We don't have to use solid, we can use dashed. There are other properties that we can apply to this border. And if you look at the page now, you should see a dashed outline on our links. Okay, now if you hover over the links, you'll notice that you have to get pretty close. You have to get right on top of the button to be able to click it. So we want to add some more surface area to this button so that it's easier to click when you're on mobile. So to do that, we're going to add a padding property. And like margin, it takes a pixel value. So we're going to add 10 pixel and 20 pixel. So what this does is the 10 pixel is going to apply to the top and bottom, and the 20 pixel is going to apply to the left and right. So if you go back to the page now, you should see that the dashed outline has been spaced apart from the link itself. And if we hover, it should give us a little more surface area to click on. All right. Next, we're going to talk about Flexbox. So you've seen how we can use margins and paddings to space things apart. But there's another newer technology that allows us to do that in a cleaner way. We're going to comment out the margin here so that we can demonstrate how we can use Flexbox to achieve the styling. So once that's removed, you see that our buttons are now mashed together again. Back in the code editor, we're going to put our links in a nav element. All right, so here we're creating a new nav element. And we're going to just cut and paste these existing links inside our nav tag. And inside our style tag, we're going to target the nav tag. The first thing we'll add is the display flex property. I'm going to save the file and go back to the browser. So you can see it didn't really change that much, but we're going to add another property to it that will help us space it apart. Okay, back in the editor, we're going to add a second property to this nav tag. This time we're going to use justify-content. If you just start typing it, it will start to auto-complete. So if you just want to hit enter or tab, and then for the value, we're going to use space between. All right, save the file and head back to the browser. You'll notice that there is now space between the links. There are other properties that we can use, so let's take a look at the other ones. Let's try it with space around. All right, so now each of the links will have space around the button itself. And if we try the last one, space evenly, you'll notice that the spaces are evenly distributed around all of the elements. So the gap between the first and the second and the start and the end will have the same spacing.